Good day, students. I am teacher Cherry, and today we will be analyzing about the short story which is entitled In a Groove by Yonosuke Akogatawa. But before that, let's have first the content of our analysis. Okay, so we have the background of the work, the author's background, the character web, the characterization, the plot, the styles of the author, the themes, cultural implication, and the implication of the title. So, let's have first the background of the work. So the short story In a Groove is a murder of the samurai where a corpse was found in a bamboo forest in Japan and the distorted accounts to try and find out who killed the samurai, which simultaneously clarifies and confuses the reader due to the different stories each character recounts. So later on in the story, we will identify who are those characters and what are their testimonies. So next is the author's background. So this is Yonosuke Akogatawa. So Yonosuke Akogatawa was born on March 1, 1892 and died on July 24, 1927. So he was a Japanese writer which is active in the Taisho Japan period, and he is regarded as the father of the Japanese short story and Japan's premier literary award. And in fact, the Akogatawa Award is named after him. However, the reason why he died is that he committed suicide at the age of 35 through an overdose of barbital. So next is the character web. So as what you have seen reflected in the blue circle is the major character, which is Kanazawa no Takehiko. And in the green circle are the other major character, which are Masago and Tajimaro. And reflected in the gray circles are the minor characters, which are the policeman, the woodcutter, the high police commissioner, the Buddhist priest, and the old woman. So next is the characterization. So Masago is Kanazawa no Takehiko's wife, and she tells a Buddhist priest that she is the one who murdered her husband. Another is Kanazawa no Takehiko. So he is a samurai, and the events surrounding his death are the central mystery in a groove. Another is Tajimaro. So he is a thief and the rapist who for years has terrorized women in and around Kyoto. The high police commissioner. So he interviews the old woman, the woodcutter, the Buddhist priest, and the policeman. Another is the medium. The medium is a person who acts as a spiritual conduit and allows Kanazawa no Takehiko to give testimony from beyond the grave. Another is the old woman. The old woman is Masago's mother. She is distraught throughout her testimony. The policeman. So the policeman arrested Tajimaro after Kanazawa no Takehiko's horse threw him. Another is the Buddhist priest. The Buddhist priest passed Masago and Kanazawa no Takehiko on the road before Tajimaro met them. Another is the woodcutter. So the woodcutter found Kanazawa no Takehiko's body as well as the comb and the broken robe in the scene of the story. So let's have the plot of the story. So after the crime scene, the first person who gives his testimony to the high police commissioner the day after Kanazawa no Takehiko's death is the woodcutter. And according to him, he found the dead samurai's body about 150 meters off the Yamashina stage road. And the woodcutter says that the body was on its back and that a single sword thrust to the chest was the cause of the death. The woodcutter also reveals that he found a woman's comb and a piece of rope nearby. The area was disturbed as if a battle had taken place together. So that is the testimony of the woodcutter. So next is the Buddhist priest who gives his testimony. The Buddhist priest passed the doomed man and his wife the day before. The couple rode a fine horse at the time and did not have any other traveling companions. So, the Buddhist priest concludes his testimony by expressing sadness for Kanazawa no Takehiko's death. So that is the testimony of the Buddhist priest. And the third is the policeman. According to the policeman, he reveals that he arrested the notorious thief and rapist Tajumaro the previous evening, and the horse Tajumaro stole from the dead man and his wife had shown him, which caused a slight injury. The policeman had tried to arrest Tajumaro in the past, but the criminal escaped capture. So that is the testimony of the policeman. Next is the old woman. The old woman is Kanazawa no Takeheko's mother-in-law and Masago's mother. She reveals that Kanazawa no Takeheko was a 26 years old samurai who lived in Kokofo and that her daughter was only 19. She characterizes Masago as a spirited, fun-loving girl who never had sex with anyone but her husband. The old woman fears for her daughter's life and breaks down into tears. So, Tajumaro confesses to Kanazawa no Takeheko's murder. At approximately noon the previous day, Tajumaro crossed Kanazawa no Takeheko and Masago's path and was immediately enthralled by Masago's beauty. He decided to kill the samurai and take his wife. Tajumaro explains that murdering comes to him naturally, and that if he is to take a woman, he must kill her husband. However, he admits that it would be better if he did not have to kill. Tajumaro recalls that he befriended Kanazawa no Takeheko and Masago and traveled with them. He lied to them about a catch of swords and mirrors buried off the road and said that he would sell them at a low price. Tajumaro says that Kanazawa no Takeheko was taken over by greed and agreed to see the goods. Masago stayed behind with the horse. In the grove, Tajumaro took Kanazawa no Takeheko by surprise and tied him up. He then stuffed bamboo leaves in the samurai's mouth so Masago could not hear his scream. So, Tajumaro went back to Masago and said that her husband had fallen ill. Masago followed him into the bamboo grove. After seeing her husband tied up, she attacked Tajumaro with a small sword. He disarmed Masago and then raped her. Masago was ashamed and proclaimed that one of the men had to die. Tajumaro recounts. She gasped out that she wanted to be the wife of whichever survived. So, the day after her husband's death, Masago arrives at the Shimizu temple in Kyoto and confesses to her husband's murder to a Buddhist priest. She felt great shame after Tajumaro raped her and believed that her husband had nothing but loathing for him. Tajumaro then knocked out. Masago went to her husband's side after waking. He was still angry at her. She told him that she must die together, for it was the only way to preserve her honor. She used her small sword to stab him in the chest and then fainted immediately. A spiritual medium provides Kanazawa no Takeheko's testimony, which begins after Tajumaro raped his wife. Tajumaro tried to comfort Masago after the rape and make her think that she would be better off with him. Masago believed Tajumaro and asked him to take her with him. Kanazawa no Takeheko would have forgiven Masago considering the circumstances, but he cannot forgive what Masago did next. She begged that Tajumaro kill him. So Kanazawa no Takeheko found his wife's short sword. He stabbed himself in the chest without hesitation. He then heard someone approach as he bled to death. He could not see the person's face, but felt the sword leave his chest. The extraction caused a final gush of blood to enter his mouth, and then he died. So next is the style of the author. So first is the conflict, which is the man versus man, because obviously, as what we have observed, there is a duel happened between Tajumaro, Takeheko, to Masago. So the duel was set in the bamboo grove, wherein Takehero was lured by Tajumaro and tied up in the tree. So this gives an opportunity to Tajumaro to rape Masago. So this is the conflict in the story. So second is the flashback. So the reader is sent into a flashback by almost all of the characters to get their account, to gather evidence, and finally decide who is the killer. So each character has a witness account of the story. Just like, for example, to the confession of Tajimaro. According to him, he set a flashback on how he lied to Masago and Takahiro about the things he wanted to sell at a low price. But according to him, it's just a show to get what he wanted, and this is to rape Masago. So, next is foreshadowing. So, the woodcutter mentions in his testimony about the trampled leaves. So this suggests that Takahiro must have put up a fight. So, this foreshadows Masago's rape and Takahiro and Tajumaro's sword fight. So next is the themes. And one of the theme of the story is honor. And though Akagatawa does not explicitly mention honor in the story, the three major characters convey through their decisions and attitudes that there are particular codes of honor they must abide by. Just like, for example, in the story, after Masago is raped by Takahiro, they believe that it is right that she and Takahiro should die together because it is not possible for them to live in their dishonorable state. And though Takahiro, Masago, and Tajimaro have their own ideas of honor, it is interesting to note that they each expect or seek their own death as the logical repercussion of the story events. So, that is the honor all about as one of the theme in the story. And another theme is subjectivity, wherein it is in a place of an objective third-person authorial presence, and Akagatawa chooses to convey the events of in a group through individual testimonies and confession, so each of which are inherently limited by subjective perspective. And in the story, each character's accounts sounds reliable and is consistent within its own logic. But when read together, the accounts create a knot of discrepancies that the reader cannot untangle. So, the reader only has a subjective perspective wherein none of those testimonies can be proved as true or false. So, that is the meaning of subjectivity as one of the themes in the story. So next is the cultural implication. So this story centers about the feudal Japanese belief, wherein there is a substantial cultural tolerance for suicide among Japanese people, which has been elevated to the level of authentic experience through culture and social experience common to many Japanese. And in fact, this general attitude towards suicide has been learned tolerant, and in many occasions, suicide is seen as immorally responsible for the Japanese people. And also, as what we have observed in this story, diba, both Takehiko and Masago testimony reflect the feudal Japanese belief that suicide was necessary to regain their honor they lost. And also, by committing suicide, they would not only regain their personal honor, but this will also restore their family's reputation. And it is common also in the Asian countries. So next is the implication of the title. So this brilliant story by Yonosuke Akagatawa brings into question the accuracy of human perception and fully illustrates the tendency to excel in examining the darker side of humanity in his writings. And this provides us information, and it would be up to the readers to form the puzzle and make up the story for its sub-rationale. So, I think this is the end of my report, so I hope you will understand it well. So, thanks for watching.